conferência da Ubisoft esse ano, o produtor do For Honor apareceu lá pra falar um pouco mais do jogo. E ele é uma figura, cara. Ele lembra muito um Viking. Dá uma olhada na entrevista que ele deu pra gente.
I've been a huge fan of this topic of sword fighting and of sort of ancient warriors my entire life. It's been a huge topic. But this game actually had a specific moment in time where it began. And it's going to sound a little contrived, this story, but this is what actually happened. So what happened was it was about 12 years ago, and I was taking a course in what's called Western martial arts, which is this new discovery around how ancient European fighters used to fight, especially the style you see in the game today. And I was walking home from the dojo, and I had been thinking about this pattern that we had on the wall that we used to do our moves and our patterns. And I was thinking about controllers and how I could move that on the right stick. And as I'm walking down alongside of the bay there in San Francisco, I felt like I kind of stumbled into this new way of arranging the controls on a standard controller, right, to bring the emotions that I feel when I fight closer to the player. For me, there was never any question about that because this game is about putting a weapon in your hands, and the moment that I start putting anything sort of super powerful, fantastic, it starts to kind of break apart, right? I wanted to be sure that we were grounding this game on the knights, the Vikings, the samurai, the three great warrior legacies, right, of history. It's not a historical game, but it is inspired by history, right? We wanted you to recognize those knights, Vikings, and samurai because as I've learned as I've been pitching this game, when I ask people, you know, which one are you? Everybody kind of already knows the answer to that question. And that's really what we wanted to do with this game is rather than telling you a story about who these guys are, we want you to have an opportunity to experience your own warrior. What kind of warrior are you? Is the question that For Honor wants to ask you. I don't know what'll happen in the future, but the thing is that these three factions, they're not just sort of historical representations. They actually are, I think in my experience, they're representations of values. What I find is that people, when I ask people, which are you, Knights, Vikings, or Samurai, right? I'm a knight, by the way. It's the one I know I look like a Viking a little bit, but inside I'm a knight. What I've learned is that when people pick knight, right, when they say that, what they really are saying is that they value protection and defense of people who are, you know, who can't defend themselves, and sort of that awesome gear that they have, and the sort of the advancement of the sort of martial technology. When people pick Vikings, right, what they're really saying is that they value freedom, they value liberty, they value expression and enthusiasm and the joie de vivre, right? The just living your life to the fullest, right? They value beer, right? And when people pick the samurai, what they're saying is that they value mastery, they value skill, they value discipline, mastery of your weapon, of your body, and of the battlefield, right? And those are the three great universal archetypes, I think. I think the reason that our culture kind of has those knights, Vikings, and samurais floating around in them in the first place is because that's kind of the three kinds of warriors. And the other types of warriors that we know from history, they all kind of, you can kind of fit them into that mold a little bit, right? So today we're really focused on those three because I think that's what the game is really going to be about. Again, I don't know what'll happen. Well, it was honestly it was incredibly difficult, but it was the whole point. And I mean, remember the story about how the idea of that thing kind of came into my head on this one afternoon, right? So that control problem it took my kind of a large part of my life to get there. But once I had that idea, that was a powerful basis to start. And that basic control scheme, that idea that I had all that 12 years ago, is basically what you see here, right? There was a few ideas that I had that absolutely did not work. That the team was fixed. But so we from the beginning had set out to put it on a normal controller because the goal of this game is to give everyone who has a sword fighting fantasy a game to play. Right? I want everyone at all levels of skill, and from the highest to the most normal, right? the opportunity to pick up a sword and feel like an elite warrior on a battlefield. And to do that, that really meant that it had to happen through the standard controller. That was always the point from the beginning.